History remembers the samurai as flawless warriors, men of iron discipline, masters of the sword, symbols of honor and loyalty without compromise. Popular culture paints them as fearless fighters, bound by an unbreakable moral code. They move through history as legends, not people. But the reality is far more complex. To understand who the samurai truly were, we must strip away centuries of romantic storytelling. We must look beyond cinema, literature, and myth. And when we do, a different picture begins to emerge, not of perfect warriors, but of a social class shaped by violence, survival, politics, and contradiction. The samurai did not begin as noble swordsmen. They emerged during a time of instability in early medieval Japan. As central authority weakened, landowners needed protection. Private warriors were hired to defend estates, crops, and families. These men were not elite heroes. They were armed retainers. Over time, these fighters gained influence. They controlled land, enforced order, and collected taxes. Their role expanded beyond combat. By the 12th century, they had become a ruling military class. Power followed violence, and violence reshaped society. Contrary to popular belief, most samurai did not spend their lives in battle. Much of their time was consumed by administration. They managed land, collected rents, resolved disputes, oversaw farming communities. Many samurai were, in practice, land managers and bureaucrats. Their swords were symbols of status as much as weapons. Actual combat was rare for long stretches of peace. This reality does not diminish their importance. It humanizes them. The samurai were not constantly fighting. They were maintaining order in a fragile system. Modern portrayals often emphasize a strict moral code called Bushido, a philosophy of honor, loyalty, and self-sacrifice. But Bushido, as we imagine it today, did not exist in early samurai society. It was formalized much later, during periods of peace, long after the most violent wars had ended. Earlier samurai were pragmatic. They betrayed allies, switched loyalties, chose survival over idealism. Honor mattered, but it was flexible. Loyalty was often conditional. The myth of unwavering devotion was created after the fact, a way to impose moral order on a violent past. The samurai were capable of extraordinary brutality. They enforced authority through fear. Punishment was swift and often public. Rebellion was crushed decisively. During periods of war, entire villages could be destroyed. Civilians were not always spared, yet violence was not random. It served a purpose. The samurai were agents of control. Their brutality reinforced hierarchy. Their presence discouraged chaos. They were not mindless killers. They were instruments of a system. Training was rigorous, but not glamorous. Young samurai practiced martial skills. Yes, but also literacy. They studied law, history, and governance. Swordsmanship was important, but so was writing. Understanding contracts, issuing orders, recording taxes. A samurai who could not read or write was limited. This intellectual side rarely appears in popular culture, yet it defined the class as much as the blade. The katana is often portrayed as the soul of the samurai. In reality, many samurai never used their swords in battle. They carried spears, bows, or firearms. The sword became a symbol during long periods of peace, a marker of identity and privilege. It was a reminder of who they were and who they ruled. Weapons, like myths, evolve with society. Samurai existed at the top of a rigid hierarchy. Below them were farmers, artisans, and merchants. Each group had defined roles and limited mobility. Ironically, merchants often became wealthier than samurai. This created tension. Samurai status was inherited. Income was not always guaranteed. Many struggled financially while maintaining appearances of authority. Honor could not pay debts. Despite their power, samurai lives were tightly constrained. They were bound by duty, by expectation, by tradition. Marriage, career, and movement were regulated. Failure brought shame not only to the individual, but to their lineage. Freedom was limited. Identity was inherited. The samurai were privileged, but not free. The modern world did not need them. As Japan industrialized, military power centralized. Firearms replaced swords. Bureaucracy replaced feudal authority. As muskets spread across Japan, battlefield skill mattered less than organization, supply, and command. Power shifted from warriors to administrators. Loyalty was recorded in documents, not proven by the blade. The samurai class was abolished in the 19th century. Many adapted, some resisted, others faded into history. What remained was the myth. The samurai myth survives because it is comforting. It offers clarity, order, moral certainty. It transforms a complicated past into a simple story of honor and heroism. But real history is rarely simple. What the samurai reveal about power. The samurai were not rebels. They were not purely heroes. They were products of their society. Their values reflected the needs of order, hierarchy, and control. Their violence upheld systems of power. Their discipline masked contradiction. They were human. When we look past the legends, what remains is not a lesser story. It is a deeper one. A story of people navigating survival, loyalty, and authority. Of individuals shaped by systems larger than themselves. The samurai were neither saints nor villains. They were men bound by their time. If you enjoyed exploring history beyond the myths, consider subscribing for more documentaries like this. Thank you for watching.